They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So, this has been the topic of the day in the NBA world, and it's a pretty big one because we've recently learned over the past couple of days that the NBA is still planning to hold an all-star game, and that was something that we thought wasn't going to go through. At the start of the year, we were, under the impression that there was going to be a break for the all-star game. They were still going to hold voting. There was still going to be all-stars selected, but they weren't going to hold the actual game because obviously it doesn't make much sense to, take players from all sorts of teams around the league, push them together in one place for a couple of days when they've done all this work to make sure that people are in their little bubbles and that people are staying away from others and trying to minimize close contacts with other people in any way that they can, right? And so putting a ton of different players from all around the country in one place for a couple of days doesn't really lend itself to that very well. So it didn't really make much sense to me and to a lot of other people why they would try to hold an all-star game this year, especially so late in the process because, like I said, everyone had kind of been under the assumption that it wasn't going to happen. But now, all of a sudden, they have worked out a plan, and it seems like we're going through with the All-Star Game. All of this was compounded with the whole strange Kevin Durant situation tonight in the Brooklyn Nets game where he was, unavailable to start the game because of an inconclusive test, and then they said, okay, you're good to go, you can play, and so KD comes into the game for 10, 20 minutes, and then at halftime, I think, or shortly after, they pulled him out of the game again and said, nope, just kidding, you can't be here, we have to, you have to isolate now because apparently somebody that he was around this afternoon tested positive. So it's a PR nightmare for the NBA right now. Frankly, it's been pretty bad. With these two things combined, it's definitely been a pretty bad look for the NBA over the past couple of days. So this started a couple of days ago with, I think the first guy to talk about it was De'Aaron Fox, and he said, hey, it doesn't make much sense. Why are we having the All-Star game? It's kind of stupid. And LeBron obviously set off the fire alarms last night when he, pretty heavily went in hard against the NBA and was like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go, but I guess we have to. And then after LeBron, a lot of guys followed suit. We heard Kawhi Leonard tonight have some pretty strong comments similar to what LeBron said yesterday, as did Giannis Antetokounmpo. James Harden was speaking out on the protocol things that happened with Durant tonight. And there's been multiple other players. I think Jason Tatum had a quote about it. So these are big stars, and these are just the guys that have been asked about it so far, right? There's plenty of other guys who I'm sure haven't been asked a question about the All-Star game in a press conference, and I'm sure that we will see more quotes come out probably tomorrow and the next day and through the rest of the weekend of, as reporters, they're probably going to be asking about this sort of thing, like, hey, what do you think about the All-Star game? Going for these quotes here. I think we're going to see a lot of star players come out with similar sentiments as some of these guys. So right now, LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi, Tatum, James Harden, those are five of some of the biggest names in the NBA, and all of them are against it. So Adam Silver probably had a pretty big headache when he went to sleep tonight, and he probably will have one when he wakes up in the morning because it's a lot to deal with, and I'm not sure what the NBA is going to do, whether or not they're going to budge on this because it seems like they've done a lot of work trying to get all these plans together and trying to make this All-Star game a reality because initially it wasn't going to happen, and they've done a lot of work in the recent weeks to kind of throw this together. But if all the players are against it so much, and I would not be surprised to see a couple players opt out of going. I'm not sure if that's an option. Are the players going to forfeit salary if they choose not to do that, or is there a sort of punishment if a player just says, hey, I don't want to go to the All-Star game? Or will the NBA have that be an option for people if they say, hey, if you don't want to come, then don't come? And if that is the case, then does the NBA select replacement All-Stars? So what happens if 12 of the All-Stars say, hey, we're not going to come? And then they have to pick. So we have 30 All-Stars in the NBA this season. I definitely could see that happening. That would be really weird if 30 players from around the league made the All-Star team or somewhere close to that number. Because usually, 24, I think, 12 from each conference. So we could be looking at a scenario where a lot of players are being named to All-Star teams. And that could be something to kind of watch. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. And then you combine this with the whole Kevin Durant thing where it felt like if this was maybe a less high-profile player or a less high-profile game, because this is a national TV game, it's Raptors and Nets, Obviously, KD, one of the best players in the NBA. It's been very exciting to watch him this season. An inconclusive test comes back a couple of minutes before the game. I don't know exactly when that came in. Probably about an hour before the game tipped off, maybe even less than that. So I get that it's kind of hard to cancel games on short notice, but they've done something similar, this year before. They've done that where, they've had tests that I remember games being canceled like, an hour or two before they're supposed to tip off. So certainly if the NBA was really doing an abundance of caution type thing, then they probably could have and probably should have pulled the plug on this game and said, hey, we're going to postpone this one. They've not been afraid to postpone other games so far this season. As far as I'm aware, none of them have been national TV games, at least on the night that they were postponed. So, I mean, that's kind of might say something about the priorities, right? Where the priority is, hey, let's get this game played because we can't just cancel a TV game last second. And so who knows, right? Maybe that was a factor in this decision to let them keep playing and pull KD and then let him back in and then pull him again. It's just overall very weird. But you combine the fact that it was a national TV game, and then combine it with the NBA playing the All-Star game when they said that they previously weren't going to. It's a pretty clear indication where the priorities of the league lie, and it might not necessarily be in the health and safety of the players. And Kawhi Leonard had a good quote about that tonight where he said, hey, like, we know what the reason is, right? We know why the league is wanting to play this All-Star game, and that's just the reality of the situation. And unfortunately, that looks like it might be the case. And as far as my thoughts on this, I think it's hypocritical. I do. I think the league is, for saying that they are putting all this priority into player health and safety, and that's their number one priority, their actions over the past couple of days have not really shown that to be true. Because, planning the All-Star game, this whole Durant situation, it's pretty tough. It's a tough look for the league, and I definitely agree with a lot of the players here where it doesn't make sense. Why are we doing this? Just don't have the game this year. It's not that hard. We just need to have the players have a week to go home, take a breath. For a lot of these guys, it was a really short offseason. At least give them a weekend to regroup, be with their families, and just go home and just relax. It's going to be hard to pull all these players from around the league to Atlanta for a weekend to try to hold this All-Star game. It just doesn't make any sense for the league to do this. It feels very hypocritical of them to even try to pull it off. And the players are right. And KD said it too tonight in the tweet. He said, NBA fans are not dumb. We can see through the PR tactics, right? That's been the overwhelming thoughts that I've seen on Twitter tonight from fans like myself, lots of other fans that I follow, and players and everybody around the league, media. Pretty much everybody is in agreement that it's not a great idea to try and play an All-Star game this season. It just doesn't make much sense, but the league's going to go ahead and do it anyway, at least for right now. Who knows? There might have been enough substantial pushback that they decide to backtrack on their plans. We'll have to see how that plays out. But as of right now, I think pretty much everyone except for the league office is in agreement that, hey, we need to kind of slow the roll, just give people a week off, and just kind of relax. And we're gonna not play an All-Star game this year. That's okay. And I do like the All-Star game as a thing. It was fun last year with the way that they used the new ending. I really, really love that. I wrote about it for the paper that I write for, and how awesome that ending was, and I wish they would bring it back in not even just the All-Star game, but maybe that mid-season tournament that they were proposing and all that stuff. The All-Star game was really fun last year. But I would imagine that if they do hold it, the players are probably not going to be trying very hard either way, and so it's not going to have the same effect. It'll probably just be a blowout one way or the other. Players not really trying. I really doubt it'll be super competitive. Even if they do hold like the dunk contest and three-point contest, I think it'll be hard to find multiple players who really want to go and be a part of that, especially if they're not all-stars already. Think about a guy like Joe Harris or Seth Curry or Duncan Robinson or a lot of these like really good three-point shooters that aren't all-stars in their own right. If you're those guys, why would you come to Atlanta just to be in the three-point contest, especially if you're just going to be stuck in your hotel, you don't get to spend time with your family, you don't get that break. I think it's going to be really hard to field a good three-point and a good dunk contest. And the All-Stars who are there probably aren't going to want to do it either, so that's another thing to watch, whether they're going to be able to fill those events. I just feel like it's going to be it just won't be very fun for a lot of us. Like, yes, I'll watch it if it's on, but I feel like just nobody's heart's going to be in it because everybody knows that they're just there for the money. And so overall, my thoughts, and I think pretty much everybody's thoughts, are like, please just chill out with the all-star stuff. We can name all-stars. Please name all-stars. Recognize the players who are playing well. Obviously, that can be done without playing the actual game. That's what the NFL did with their Pro Bowl this year. They had like some online Madden tournament. That'd be great. Put some guys, let them play 2K. We can have Kevin Durant versus LeBron James on 2K. That'd be fine. Do that, whatever. Still recoup some of that TV money, but just slow your roll. We don't need an all-star game this season. So anyway, I think that's about all I have on this whole all-star game, Kevin Durant, contact tracing, stupid Palooza extravaganza. I think it's kind of dumb. But anyway, like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to, leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about this whole situation. Should the NBA hold an all-star game? I'm pretty sure most of you will be in agreement with me, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you disagreed, let me know why down below. But yeah, with all that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.